All right. Man, good morning. I come here today with a bit of a heavy heart, challenged by my friend Dave, who, after kind of diving into some of my background and my story, he really encouraged me to just share because he felt like so many other people have something like this, and just the way my life has been changed, he felt like it would be helpful to others to share. So let me a lot of people ask how I got in real estate. What was the journey? I've got two parts to this, and we turned why I think you would believe that we turned trauma into triumph. Okay. I'm going to try to get through this. No tears. Here we go. There's two parts to this. I'm going to tell you the end, and then I'll tell you the beginning. Okay. So here's really how it starts. It's 2008. I'm in California, stationed as a Marine in 29 Palms, and I find out that I'm getting put into Quantico, Virginia, which is all the way across the country. So driving across the country, I listened to this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it completely changes the way I'm thinking about things. So keep in mind, I'm in the military, okay? And let me just tell you about the military real quick. From the time that you join, I go to boot camp in the Marine Corps for 13 weeks. You show up, they strip your entire life from you. You are told exactly when to wake up, when you can move any piece of your body, how many strokes you're going to shave your face with. They tell you to pick your hand up, one stroke down, lather your face, when you can use the bathroom, when you wake up, when you do drink water, when you eat food. Literally every single movement is directed. So they take your life away and they basically reprogram you. Okay. That is like almost like being in prison, but worse. Great experience, of course. Like, I'm super grateful for it. Totally reprogram me. And then what happens is you go to another training, and you're working all week from sun up to sundown, and you might be allowed to leave the base, the military base, on the weekends to go into real civilization. Somebody's directing what you do with every moment of your day, 24/7. Then after you get your skill set for your job, you then go to your job. And here's the crazy thing is you don't really have any say over any of your time. You're just focused on the mission. And you might have a 4th of July weekend coming up. And typically in the government, they would give you, 3 or 4 days off to celebrate that federal holiday. And more times than not, you would think you're getting a 4-day holiday, and then something would come up. You got to go defend the border of California, or you got to go down to the border of California, support Border Patrol, or hey, we got to send you here to this training to do this, or hey, we've canceled your time off because of X. Like, you don't even know it's coming, so it's unexpected. So they control every part of your life. And this is important because, like, for me, I loved it for a long time. There was so much purpose behind it. You're sacrificing and fighting for a cause much bigger than yourself. But after 8 years of doing it, after 15 years of doing it, after 20 years of doing it, you feel like there's more to be had. You feel like the work you put in is not getting the type of result that it could get. Now, you put the work in, you get all the accolades, you get awards, you're rated the #1 person, but you can't really excel any faster. It's not a proportional reward for your success or your output. So it's like climbing the corporate ladder. You can only go so fast. Some of it is time based. Like, you can't even go faster than a certain time. And so now you're proving success. Now I'm proving success in the military, and I'm just feeling called to do more. I know that I can succeed because I've proven it in the military, but I have this desire for freedom. I want to be able to decide what I do with my time. Like last Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I went to lunch with my wife. Her and I, one-on-one date. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I have that freedom. And that was given to me from real estate. So I want to talk about this path and what it looked like. So 2008, I listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad on the drive over from California to Virginia, and it's exciting, and it kind of sets in my mind, but I don't do anything with it. It's not until like later, and then I start to make a little bit more money. So at the time, I was probably making 36 grand a year in the military, and then fast forward to like 2016, 2017, 2018. Now I'm making like $80,000 a year, but I'm starting to feel called to something else. So I do just like everybody else. And I think you guys can relate to me on this path is I find Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover, get your financial health right, pay off all your debt, save up $1,000. Boom, did that. Even had the little envelopes of money, my wife and I, like we had to take the cash out and give it to somebody. And then I find, gosh, I want to go faster. Like, how do I get to retirement? So I find this financial independence, retire early movement. And I start ingesting all of this information, Mr. Money Mustache, Paul Pant, all these people who are talking about the math behind retiring early. And you don't even need that much. So they talk about this thing called the safe withdrawal rate. If you had $1 million, you could basically take $40,000 a year for at least 30 years, maybe more. Just based on the numbers in economics. So I was like, holy crap. And then they math out like what it would take, what kind of savings rate you'd have to do, what kind of moves you'd have to make to save to get $1 million, which sounds like a lot, but the math shows it's actually not that hard using IRAs and all these other tools that are available to you. So I get obsessed. I'm learning all this stuff, but I'm feeling like it's still kind of slow. It's going to take a long time. So that kind of leads me to thinking back to Rich Dad Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki being a real estate guy. So I start to explore real estate as an option. Now I listen to Bigger Pockets. I listen to the 7-Figure Flipping podcast. I started listening to all these prominent real estate podcasts. And I'm like, gosh, okay, well, I could buy rentals while I'm doing this military thing, and I could create passive income. And these rentals would cash flow some dollar amount. And I started to math out how I could buy rentals to get $4,000 a month in cash flow, and then $10,000. So I had a 2-phase goal, $10,000 a month. I felt like if I could get an additional or $10,000 a month passive income at 120 grand a year, remember I was making like 80 grand. So I'm like, gosh, that would be insane. So now I need to find out how to buy rentals. So I spend like 2017, I buy my own property in a great area, end up renting that out. I don't really know how to find properties. I don't know how to fund them. All I knew is that I had to save up cash, put a down payment down, and buy a house. So I found a guy who was selling turnkey rentals, meaning he bought it, he fixed it up, he put a tenant in it, he put property management in place, and then sold it to you. So it was basically ready to go. And in order to get that first house, I had to be innovative. I remember since I was a military guy, I remember seeing this post in this Facebook group, and this guy had said, hey, I just got an Amex, the Amex Platinum card, the nice silver heavy card. Military people get the fee waived. So a lot of military people have this credit card. He said, hey, I just got an Amex loan for $25,000. No question asked. And I used SCRA, which is this military benefit where they don't let these credit card companies leverage too much interest on you, or they'll take your interest even down to zero in some cases. So he said, I got this $25,000 loan, and I was able to take the interest down to 0%. Now, at the time, I had been listening to the 7-Figure Flipping podcast and Bill Allen, And the one thing I learned about Bill is the guy is a genius at money. He just he sees money differently. He knows how it works better than anybody I know. And he had been talking about like the cost of money and how powerful it is to leverage money, especially cheap money. And free money is like an insane cheat code. So I'm going, okay, I don't know much. I don't know enough, but if I can get this 25 grand, I can buy a rental. And then I'll use the rental to pay it off. Now I have to get the loan, and then I have to apply for this thing that this other guy on the internet said worked. I have no idea if it'll work. I tell my wife, hey, I'm going to try this. And if this thing doesn't go through, I just give the money all back. I'll just pay it all back, and pay the loan off. So I get the loan. I apply for the thing, get the 0% interest. I take that 25K. I had some savings because remember I had been doing like Dave Ramsey at the time. So I take the savings and I put it into, I take my savings, I take the $25,000, I buy a turnkey rental. I had to bring the purchase price was the purchase price was $108,000, single family house, 3-2 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, $108,000. I had to bring $33,000 to close. That was 25% down because it was an investment property plus all the closing costs and stuff. I remember very vividly it was $33,000. And I was like, holy crap. So it was 2019. Wow. I just literally got, I bought a house. Like I own a house and basically I have none of my, very little of my own money into it. And I've got equity. And then my payment on that house was like $700 and it was renting for $1,450 and it was fully rehabbed. It was like, holy crap. It's like kicking out like $400 or $500 a net to me. Super powerful. How can I do this again? COVID hits. I saved up a little bit more money, and COVID gives us a benefit to pull some cash out of like 401k IRA and penalty free. And the market's probably going to go down anyways. So another house comes up. This time it's a duplex, $195,000 purchase price. I was able to pull some money out of one of my investment accounts, which was like it's called a TSP, thrift savings plan. It's like a military 401k. I had to bring $55,000 to close, and I bought that second house, and it was cash flowing like $1,100. It was insane, absolutely insane. Renting for like, oh, it was nuts, dude. That house was fantastic. Okay, so now I'm like rentaling my way up to this wealth that I want to build. And I'm watching all these other people in the space. I'm learning, I'm listening to podcasts. I read every book, you name it. I read it or I listened to the podcast. Like I'd go for a run, be listening. I always had an earbud in. And then, I used 2 tricks to get large lump sums of money, which I didn't just have laying around, obviously, making 80 grand a year in the military. By the way, I was saving 40% of my income at this point. I had become obsessed with spending less than I make. And these houses were paying back how I leveraged the money. It was really awesome. Well, I started to do the math and figure out like how would I have to live and how many houses would I have to buy to reach my goal? And it was going to take forever. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like I need to find a faster way. So I go to, it's COVID times, April, May of COVID. Bill Allen puts on this event called Veterans Live REI. And it's like I hadn't really listened to him too much or known him. I didn't know him at all at this point. And I go to Veterans Live REI, and he's just operating on a totally different frequency than everybody else. The guy is such a brilliant fast mover. So I'm like just enamored with how fast he was able to grow from 1 to 67 to 134 to 200 houses in a year. And I'm like, oh, I need to figure out what he's doing and hack his system. So I go to Veterans Live REI. I'm inspired. I start digging into the free 7-figure flipping content. I'm listening to all the podcasts, watching all the YouTube videos, like, oh my gosh, it's insane. October rolls around and they have their annual event. It's usually in person, but because of COVID, October 2020, it turned virtual. It was crazy. So I go to
I was in 29 Palms, California. I was never going to be able to get time off to fly to Orlando, go to any live events. And because it was virtual, this opportunity just came upon. Thank you, COVID, for providing this opportunity. So now it's going to be 3 days live. So I go to my wife and I'm like, hey, look, I know I couldn't fly away from the family. I'm already taking all this time from the family in the military. I'm trying to find a way that I can get us some freedom. Would you be okay if I maybe locked myself into this room for 3 days and just really committed? Because I'd gotten an email from Bill Allen, which I thought was Bill Allen. Maybe it was his marketing guy, Kyle, that was like, hey, Flip Hacking Live, if you're going to come, like the people who win play all out. They commit to it. They show up. They do it. They stay from beginning to end, and they do not do anything else, no distractions. And I took that very seriously. I was like, okay, like I'm committed too, and I see what you're doing and I want to do it and I think I can do it. So let me check this out. And my wife agrees. She says, yes, I'll take care of the little kids and you can go lock yourself in the room. So I lock myself in the room. I go to this 3-day event and I see this guy get on stage. His name's Jesse. He's in San Diego and he presents from his house because it's COVID. And he's like not the best presenter in the world. He's like, okay, he's much better now. Jesse, I love you if you're listening to this. But his first presentation, he was like, he was nervous. He didn't even want to present, but he was flipping 80 houses a year in San Diego. So he's buying these houses, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, flipping them, selling them. And I'm like, this guy is super normal. I'm pretty sure I can do that too. Like, okay, I see this guy flipping. He can do that. And then I see this couple get up on stage, Chris and Heather Logan, and they're teaching their exact system for cold calling, and they're in Tampa. Now, at this point, I'm starting to think about if I leave the military, where would I go? I'm from Michigan. I don't want to live in Michigan because it's too cold. I'm thinking about going to Florida. So I watch this presentation. Like, I am freaking blown away by this system. I'm like, that's affordable. They just told me exactly how to do it. I can do it too. So I'm like, I'm totally in on this whole thing. I'm like, I can see the path. I see what they're doing. I believe I can do it. I'm seeing these what I perceive to be like normal people having tremendous results. Like these people were like doing $1 million or $2 million or more dollars in a year. I'm like, I can do that. So I'm like all in. I book a strategy call at the event. It's a sales call. I didn't know that, but it's a sales call. And I get on the phone with this guy, and there's going to be an invitation to join a mastermind. I have no idea. This stuff wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and I wasn't like in that space. So I'm like, okay, I get on the phone with Adam Ray, and I'm feeling good about myself. Like I'm a confident guy. And he just does a masterful job of selling me because he starts talking about like, you know, hey, do you think you can do it? Yeah, I can do it. My ego starts to come up. And then he hits me with the price to join this 7-figure mastermind community called Runway. It's like $15,000 or $1,500 a month. Like, oh, dude, I was like, price objection. Like, oh, I got to talk to my wife. That sounds like a lot of money. Remember, at this point, I'm like pinching pennies to make sure that my savings rate is high. Now I've got some cash in the bank, like a little bit of money, but not a lot. And I'm not putting anything on credit cards at this point. So this was a big, big thought. Now, a few months before this, what I didn't tell you was this was a time when I was looking for a way to create this cash flow and getting out. Like I felt so heavy in the military at the end of my career. I felt like a prisoner. I knew that I was very successful in the military, but I just felt like I could do more if I was in charge of my time. And so I get into these Amazon automation store funnels. Like I start to see all these people talking about it. Now I'm following all these people because I'm trying to learn everything about ways to make money and get this freedom that I desired. So I start to see all these gurus talking about Amazon automation. It was crazy. It was tons of these people. And I'm like, is this a scam? I'm researching it. I'm reaching out to people. and there's some bad stuff on it, but there's some good stuff on it. And I was just, all right, it's worth it. And these people wanted $15,000 to $25,000 to create an Amazon automation store. It was drop shipping. And they was going to all be done for you, but you had to get like the business credit card to fund buying the thing and then drop shipping it to somewhere else on Amazon. But they would do all the research, put all the products in there. Basically, it was pretty hands off. You just had to provide the capital. So I invested in that. And then I invested in a second store right before Flip Hacking Live 2020. My wife was like insane. So the first store actually started to see some turbulence. Like it started to make some money, then it saw turbulence. I probably had like $20K invested in this Amazon automation store, pretty much what I'd saved. And it starts to have turbulence. So now I'm going to my wife at Flip Hacking Live and I'm telling her, hey, look, I got a seller. Like, hey, and Bill said this, and he says this a lot. Like, hey, if your partner is not in the business, if they don't understand, if you're an entrepreneur that you want more, it's okay. Don't ask them for permission, ask them for support. So I took that to heart and I went to my wife, and God bless her. We've been married for 19 years this year, going on 20 in November. She hits me with the objection like, oh my gosh, no, like you just bought these stupid Amazon automation stores. You can't do this. Like, I think it's a bad idea. And I'm like, look, babe, I will go do the work, make the money back. Worst case scenario, I'll get this thing to at least break even. I need to do this, right? And by the way, on the sales call, he called it a strategy call, Adam Ray said, I'm like, dude, I can't afford that. He said, you can't afford not to do it. And I was like, oh, you're so true, because if I could get the playbook, now I'm providing logic to this. If I can get the playbook, then I can turn what would take decades into days. Right. And I'll just follow their system and avoid, 50% of the mistakes I'd make trying to figure it out on my own. And that did turn out to be true. It was messy and it was hard, but I did it. So my wife ends up saying, you know what, Adam, you're going to do whatever you want anyways. I support you. Go ahead. Just do it. She's always been supportive of me. Like she'll provide some resistance, but she trusts me because I've produced results my entire life, regardless of what I was doing. And so I joined this runway program, and it's October. So I get onboarded. It's like November 2020. And I've been like learning about real estate, but I didn't know anything about flipping, about wholesaling, about direct to seller marketing, about how to have conversations with sellers. I didn't know any of that. Nothing, literally nothing, other than what maybe I'd heard on a few podcasts. And I get in there and I crush all the education piece of the course. And they had these coaches, these laser coaches who you could sign up for. And I was signing up for these laser coaches. I watched the videos. And then as I was watching the videos, I do the thing like, oh, they did this. I did this. They did this. I did this. I set up my systems. I start marketing in the Tampa, Florida market. So it's like November. So December, I'm grinding. I'm working. I'm an intelligence guy. Can't bring my phone into work. So I'd get up at 4 a.m. in California to start calling in Florida at 7 o'clock East Coast time, and I do that from 4 to 7 Pacific time. Then I do it at lunch. Then I do it in the evenings. Anytime I had available to call and to drive, to generate leads and start talking to sellers. I had no idea what I was doing. I was garbage at underwriting deals, but I was getting my experience and building my skill. I didn't know. I was just in the kind of grind early on. And so I implemented like super fast. I'm paying for this. I'm going to get my money's worth and I got to make this money back. So January comes around and January 2021, they have this event in Nashville. So there's an in-person event for the members every quarter. And they had this event in Nashville. So I go to this event, or I can't go to this event. Like, number one, I can't afford to like be flying all over the country every quarter. I don't got it like that yet. Number two is COVID. I got a family. I know like people are telling me how important it is. So I miss this event. I get to watch, like tune in virtually as much as you can. Right. Which I was grateful for. I end up hiring a virtual assistant because my time, like I couldn't generate enough leads. And I knew that if I can't generate enough leads, I'm doing too much of the lead gen type stuff. So I hired a virtual assistant from the Philippines for like $5 an hour. Her name was Tarina. And she's doing all the cold calling and just setting appointments for me. So now I'm starting to stack leads up, but I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm making offers, I'm fumbling through, just kind of a mess. I'm getting coached, of course, and I'm being told the right things to do, but it's just not concrete for me yet. So I'm generating leads, and I'm getting close. And I even got something under contract that fell out. And then I'm like really close with a few leads, and I get something signed up in March or April, early April. And in April, they do this event, a tropical mastermind event. Everybody comes together, and they were doing it in Cancun. Now, mind you, it's been COVID. Like I literally was washing my groceries before I brought them in the house, and we went almost nowhere, let alone traveled to a different country. And I got little kids, right? At this point, my kids are like, young, 7 and under, I think 7 and under, 8 and under, something like that. And so somebody from the 7-figure flipping team calls me, and they're like, the 7-figure flipping team is like, hey, we really want you to come to the event. We think it'd be really big for you and your business, and we just kind of want you there. Do you think you can make it happen? I'm like, dude, how am I going to sell this to Jenny? Like, we've been so cautious. We've been so, you guys got to remember back to the pandemic. It was wild. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, what if and her mom had not went anywhere at this time. Like her mom was even more tight than we are in terms of being protected from the pandemic. Like, well, if we bring her mom, it'll relieve some pressure on the kids. She might actually be able to enjoy herself. We've been cooped up for a year. We need to get out of the house. I'm making all these reasons. So I go to my wife. I said, hey, look, we got to make a decision in the next 24 hours, the last day to register to go to this event. I feel like I need this event so that I can, get the growth that I need in my business. Would you support me on this? And this is what it would look like. So we went back and forth, and ultimately, you know what? We need to do this. And we've been saving money. Again, we're still living good within our means. So we decided to bring my whole family out, Jenny, my 2 kids, and her mom, Sheila, and go to Cancun. While I was in Cancun, I closed my first wholesale deal. Now, I've been doing some real estate deals, but I'd never done direct to seller. That's what I was trying to stand up. The reason I was doing this was because this was the path to go faster. This is what I saw Bill and the other people in this community doing, that I just knew if I could learn these skills, I could do it. So I closed my first deal in Cancun. I've got $12,500, Clyde Street deal. I was working with this agent. She helped me out on it. Her mom ended up buying it and flipping it, making like 60 grand. It was in Lakeland, Florida. So, but what was cool was all of that work I'd put in. Right after that, I knocked down 9 more deals and brought the first 100K into my business, and it was off to the races. But while I was in Cancun, I'm sitting at dinner. The event was insanely impactful. The relationships I made there, the things that I learned there, the people that I met, it was like so impactful. And I'm sitting at dinner one night, and I've got kind of my cohort of people who joined the community with me. And I'm sitting next to this lady, her name's Caroline. And she's struggling with some confidence, something I didn't lack, maybe even unfounded confidence, but she's struggling with some confidence. She's like, I'm getting leads, but I'm like scared to call them. And she's telling me about her leads. She got this one lead in Panama City, and I'm like, that sounds like a good lead. Well, how about this? How about we just go outside and I'll call this guy right now, and I'll show you that it's really not that scary or that hard, and we'll see if we can make a deal with them. So her and I walk outside, kind of our table's done eating, so they start to get up and come out. So I'm on the phone, and I've got like my table of people plus Caroline with me, and I call this seller, and I'm basically doing a live seller call. And now everybody's starting to come out of the restaurant, and I've got like 50 people around me watching me help Caroline call this lead. We negotiated. We didn't get a deal done, but we did get the decision maker set up another appointment. What I didn't know was Bill Allen was walking by. At this point, Bill Allen was a superstar. Like don't even think I had a one-on-one conversation with this guy at this point. So he's walking by with his wife, Lucy, and they see what's going on. I didn't know this till after. And he's looking like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, this guy's like giving and helping other people. So 2 weeks after the event, unbeknownst to me, Bill was making some changes in his company, Blackjack Real Estate. And he gives me a call kind of out of the blue. Now, this is like the second time we've talked. And he's like, hey, what would you think about partnering, becoming the majority owner of Blackjack, merging our businesses, and you just take it all over? He's like, I got this other thing going on. I've got all these irons in the fire. I can't come back in. And Nate, who's our COO, is going to go do something else. So I end up talking to Jenny, agreeing, and merging our businesses. Now, my business started to get big traction, very profitable. It was working really well. And Bill changed my life in that moment. He changed my life in that moment. This community changed my life. We went on to do hundreds and hundreds of deals and millions of dollars in revenue. And he just turned me from a skeptic to a believer because I went through it and I believed it. And a lot of people are like, dude, like you're just a go-getter. And for a while, I had thought about why that might be. Like, why do I want to win so bad? And it really wasn't until 2021 that I started to figure out why I am the way I am. And that's kind of the ending of the story. But I needed to figure out the beginning, the why. And in 2021, I went for the first time and sat down with a mental health professional, a psychiatrist. And in that meeting, I left that meeting just kind of for the first time really talking about my past, how I grew up, and some of those things. And in that meeting, this guy is like 60 years old and he's in tears and I'm in tears. And he, at the end, when I leave his office, he said, dude, you are a living miracle. He didn't say dude because he's like a 6-year-old guy, but that's my rendition. And it was the first time I started to think about why I am the way I am. And I can remember back, I was, if I can just be completely vulnerable and honest here, my dad, I have 7 siblings. We all have different parents. My dad was a woman beater. He was a drinker, and he had all these different kids with all these different women, didn't pay child support, a real piece of work. Of course, he had some good things about him. The guy worked 80 hours a week and worked in a factory and really did that part of his life well. But he never graduated high school. He didn't make it past 9th grade. I didn't grow up around, I came from like Detroit area. And I lived in this house. My dad paid $25,000 for this house, 12 Ridge Street in Ecorse, Michigan. And it's got this wooden porch. My mom and my dad got divorced when I was probably 2. I don't remember. He ends up getting with my stepmom, who becomes one of the most stable pieces of my life. I can remember standing on the porch on 12 Ridge Street as maybe like a 6 or 7-year-old kid. I had this this kid's suitcase. It was kind of like one of those hard suitcases, wasn't soft, had some stickers on it. And I remember my mom's supposed to come get me, and I'm standing on the porch for hours and hours and hours, and she doesn't show up. And this becomes a trend throughout most of my childhood. And I couldn't ever understand why. But as I got older, I started to realize why. She had been sexually abused by her father. She had significant mental health issues, and she was heavy into drugs, as bad as, smoking crack and things like that. So I've got this abusive father, this crackhead mother, but I don't know any different. This is just the world I live in. I can also remember going to school in Ecorse, and like in first or grade, I think it was, I got chased home by, these two kids. They chased me through the alleyway into the backyard, and they wanted to jump me. Fortunately, somebody was there, stopped them from jumping me, but let me fight them each one-on-one. And this violence becomes a part of my life to the point where I'm fighting people. Like, it becomes a norm for me to be in fist fights every week as I grew up. Just choosing violence for which I couldn't make sense of why that was when I was young, obviously. And then, I actually did really well in school. I was in third grade. They wanted to double promote me to fifth. My parents had found a way. My dad had found a way to put me into a school in a better city. I lived in Ecorse, totally ghetto, like poverty, low class city. There's this neighboring city, a couple cities over, called Wyandotte, Michigan. Very nice city, comparatively speaking. Had better schools. They used somebody's address, got me into school there. Taft Elementary. Went to Taft third grade. They wanted to double promote me to fifth. I did really well in school. It was like my outlet from life. I'd go to school. It was like a relief to be at school, not be abused. My dad was abusive, not be abandoned by my mom. It was a place for me to go. And so I did well. And then eventually my dad had worked his way up in the factory. When I say worked his way up, I'm not talking about like executive level, because he didn't even have an education, but he skilled up, and, he's working 80, sometimes 100 hours a week. He's making 60, 70 grand a year, which is a ton of money. And, we are able to move to this house in Taylor, Michigan, which isn't quite Wyandotte, but it's a better city than Ecorse in Detroit. Okay. And he buys this house. He buys it for $62,000. It's like, I'm like thinking we're rich. We moved to this city. I'm going to better schools. But in this neighborhood, we had a lot of turmoil, a lot of drug use, a lot of people like, teenagers who weren't going to school at all anymore. They're dealing drugs. And I start to become assimilate to that kind of neighborhood family and lifestyle. Turbulence hits again. My dad, who is not treating my stepmom well, of course, as this is MO, he's beating her. He's doing all kinds of dumb stuff. And she ends up finding somebody else and leaving. So now I'm abandoned for the second time of my life from the one person who provides stability. I don't blame her for that. Obviously, she shouldn't stay there and get beat. But I'm starting to get into my teenage years. Now, we get up to high school. I'm still a 3.0 plus student. But I start to get into trouble because I've never seen what good values look like. I've never seen the right way. I had no example for me. And so I go even deeper down the neighborhood path. I'm on the streets. There's lots of drugs involved, lots of partying involved. I probably did more bad things as a teenager than most people could even imagine in their life. So I'm in 11th grade. I'm running wild, women, drugs, you name it. I get a phone call. I'm sitting in school. I get a phone call, and my aunt says, your mom just died. Now, the last time I'd seen my mom, she was in a mental hospital getting shock treatment on her brain. And so I go to her apartment. She's dead. She's hanging halfway over her bed. And it just completely unwinds my life to rock bottom. I barely am going to school at this point. In fact, I'm talking to, I'm in 12th grade now. My life is in shambles. I'm actually moving around with my friends, like living on their couches. Even my dad, who's, basically didn't give a crap what I was doing, basically says like, hey man, you're out of control. You can't stay here. So I'm just doing whatever I want. I'm living on people's couches. In fact, last place I ended up living was my friend Clint's couch. And I'm grateful to him and his family for allowing me to do that for some time. So my mom dies. I go completely off the rails, and I'm 18 years old. My school team, like I'm not even going to school. So my grades are all plummeted. Like I'm talking failing. So I go from this 3.0 student to basically failing. And I'm in my last class. I am on the verge of not graduating high school. I was in this marketing class. I remember this marketing teacher goes, dude, you have to get a D in this class so that you can graduate high school. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, Adam. I don't want you back here next year. You are a menace. So this is what I'm going to do. You're going to write 20 definitions and I'm going to give you a D, and I'm never going to see you back here again. I wrote those definitions. I end up graduating with a 1.934 GPA. I was 4 from the bottom of the class. So I have no prospects. I'm working at Napa Auto Parts, making no money. And I'm dating this girl, and I have an ex-girlfriend. I'm out, I'm drinking, I'm driving, I'm acting like an idiot. I'm completely unguided in my life. And I was at the movies with this girl. We go to the corner store to pick up some more stuff, and I get a phone call from my ex-girlfriend, and the two girls are talking, and they're gonna fist fight. So cool. I call some of my friends, tell them to meet me over at my ex-girlfriend's house. I drive my current girlfriend over there and go up to the house. She closes the door, locks it. I go in through her back bedroom window, and I'm unlocking the door. Unbeknownst to me, she had a boyfriend at the time. I don't even remember the guy's name, what he looks like, who he is, but I'm trying to unlock the door. I've been doing been drinking, so I'm like one eye open. Guy grabs my arm. I proceed to beat him up pretty good, and to the point where I'm kicking him while he's on the ground, and there's blood everywhere. My friends come in, they finally show up, they pull me out of there. We get into the car, we make it to the end of the street. The cops pull me over. My ex-girlfriend had called the cops, rightfully so, and they pull me over. It's Friday. I go to jail. I'm in jail until, if you go to jail on the weekend, I've only been to jail once, one time. If you go to jail on the weekend, you stay in all weekend. So it was until the following Tuesday that I got out and so now I'm like waiting for an arraignment, and they want to charge me with home invasion and assault and battery. Home invasion is a big deal, 20-year felony. Assault and battery, misdemeanor, but also big deal. So I'm getting ready to go to my arraignment. I have no prospects, nothing going on in life. And this recruiter, Marine Corps recruiter, comes into I'm pulling in at Napa Auto Parts. I'm driving parts, dropping them off. He goes, hey, I know you're Adam Whitney, yada, yada, yada. Tells me some stuff about myself. Great sales tactics from this guy. I'm like, cool. He's like, are you interested in joining the military? And I'm like, well, I have this problem. I'm probably going to jail. Is there anything you can do to help me? He's like, well, let me think about it. I might be able to help you, but if I can, you have to leave in like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. That's fine, as long as I don't have to go to jail or get in trouble. So this guy wasn't going to do it, but he knew somebody who needed to hit their quota up in Flint, Michigan, which is another crappy city up to the north. This guy comes down, his name's Sergeant Wilkins. He goes to court with me, which you're not allowed to do as a military recruiter. So if you're a military person and you're hearing this somewhere, like, that you're not allowed to do this. He goes to court, and I'm in the 9th District Court in Detroit. This judge, bless her heart, she goes into the back room with the recruiter, comes out and says, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to knock all this down. I'm going to put it under this program called HIDO, which is a youth program. If you go serve 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, and with an honorable discharge, I will expunge all this from your record. And I'm like, okay. He's like, the only thing you have to do is pay for the carpet, the blood, and that. So that was my punishment, basically pay for the mess that I made, and I got to go off to the Marine Corps. And in the beginning, I started the story with telling you about why I desired freedom so much. It was because the Marine Corps and the military and my job, like corporate, was so tight. It had such a tight hold on my life and the decisions that were being made. And I was completely reprogrammed at boot camp for 13 straight weeks. And one of the things that was prevalent here was the Marine Corps, the military operates off of core values. It was the first time in my life I had seen men who were real leaders. It was the first time in my life that I'd seen people put others before self on a regular basis. And I fell in love with everything it represented: honor, courage, and commitment, the core values, how challenging it was physically, mentally, spiritually. And I went all in. And I turned that into a 20-year commitment to the country. I went multiple combat deployments where there was more trauma that we turned into triumph, more challenges. I was challenged every year to improve myself. And I was always put into rooms with people better than me, which drove me. And what I found was when I got into these rooms with Marine leaders who had been where I wanted to be, who are where I wanted to be, it made me up my game. And every time I'd get into these rooms, I would get better. I would perform better. And I just felt such a calling to lead and help others. Now, at this point, my entire life has changed for the better. And I start to feel called to do more, not just in real estate or in wealth or in family or in legacy, but just to do more, to be a better person, to lead others, to think about the judge in the 9th District Court who gave me a second chance on life. And for me to be able to even help somebody in the smallest way, because I feel like I owe it. It changed my life. That's why I'm committed to changing other people's lives. Those events in my life are the reason I was able to go from having maybe $100,000 net worth in 2018 or 19 or whenever it was to a literal $5 million net worth today. It's why I've been able to build a business that brings all these other people around me. It's why I've been able to partner with Bill Allen, my mentor. That's why I've been able to buy hundreds of houses that we still own today. That's why I've been able to buy apartment buildings. It's why it's not about me. It's about how I can make an impact for others. And I feel so blessed. I look every day, I wake up, I talk to my family, my wife, and I'm honestly still feeling like, do I even deserve this? How did I get here? And I just try to be grateful. And so many people in my life that judge, the people in the military, Bill Allen, my friends, my mentors, they showed me a different path. They showed me how I can be a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better leader, a better real estate investor, a better CEO, entrepreneur. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful every day. I don't take it lightly, not a single day. And when people ask me, like, you work all the time or you work too much, it's not because I want more money. It's because I have so much more to give. And I feel like I've been given so much. It is my personal duty to give back to others. If you stuck around for this whole thing, thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you. I'm immensely grateful that you found this interesting enough to listen all the way through. So I hope that you can hear that story and see yourself in some way. I hope that you'll take
the next step for you. And I don't say no to helping anybody. So if I can be of value to you, if I can help you, do not be afraid to reach out to me. Let me be a guide for you, like so many others, like Bill and so many others have been a guide for me. And thanks for listening to me. And it's hard to tell that story. I have never really told it super publicly. So I felt a little scared to tell it, if I'm being honest, and I felt very vulnerable. So like I said, I'm grateful that you listened, and thank you.